We've been experimenting with other ways of trying to maintain our loyalty, and that it really just doesn't work as well as TV has worked for us. We set out to develop a new campaign that really will bring people back into the fold.
But the channels you really want are just around the corner.
This year, we're going to see for the first time really serious competition for cable. We have an opportunity to go into local telephone services, and we have an opportunity to be able to go into high-speed access to the internet. That's going to be the service that's, I think, going to revolutionize media.
Let's ask him why not go out and talk to real people. They're not as attractive as Flavio. The web has gotten people connected to information, so it's very easy for me to go out now and find information about a number of things. What we're trying to do with the Palace is actually connect people up with other people.
Action.
All right, Marta, are you rolling?
In the hands of Marta technology. Danger. Okay. Yeah, I'm rolling.
Okay. After a 3-year hiatus, Heinz Ketchup is putting themselves back on the map. They're biting the proverbial bullet and sinking the bucks into a television spot. And if you think that the set has a passing resemblance to a science fiction movie that you might have seen, you're right.
Ready, more smile.
And action.
Pleased. Very pleased. Good. And... oh, nice. That was good. And cut.
The science fiction angle seems to be a bit of a trend right now in spots. Is that because of the audience that you're going after, or the plethora of it that's on television shows?
The reason it's a science fiction setting in this particular script is that Heinz Ketchup is over 100 years old. The bottle that it's in now was designed in the 20s. And here we are in 1997, so there's no reason to believe that it won't be around in another 100 or 200 years. It's a classic brand like Levi's or Coca-Cola.
Boom, pop, boom. It's that quick. It's looking really pleased, like, you know, this is great. But, like this? Dipping toward, it's like...
Why, after so many years, are you spending this kind of money for television?
Loyalty to the brand has slipped a little bit, and our market share has slipped a little bit as well. And really, with this spot, what we're trying to do, and you'll notice in the tagline, the no other kind's emphasis, is that Heinz really is ketchup. It is the best ketchup available, and you know, what we're really hoping to accomplish is to bring people back into the fold who have maybe slipped away to try other things in the last few years when we really haven't been on air talking to them.
Thanks. Ketchup, please? That's not Heinz. Would you watch this for me, please?
Over the last 20 or 30 years, there's been a number of TV campaigns for Heinz Ketchup, as I'm sure a lot of people will remember.
Your lunch, sir. Thanks, Wilfred. Wilfred! It's coming, sir. Right on, dude.
You know, if you look at the 90s in general, I mean, you just have a more diverse and smarter consumer. And we feel that the advertising that worked in the 80s for us, if you remember some of the other spots, like Stolen.
Looks over, sees it, she's coming over.
Excuse me, I can't seem to find any Heinz.
You're kidding. Here, you can have some of mine.
Thanks.
My name's
Heinz. It just doesn't taste the same without it.
Slide, we call them, the ones where the ketchup bottle was sliding back and forth across the table, really just won't work as well today. They're just a little too clean cut, and something a little edgier and with a little more twists is something that's a little more interesting to consumers today.
Lean forward, Kate. Like you want her like sort of that kind of big, but relaxed, you know? Like that's how big we've kind of been, just relax. Oh, that's not bad there.
Talk about a space vixen. This girl is hot.
Oh, yes, the sex kitten in space, shall we call her? Yeah, we deliberately went for somebody, obviously, who had a lot of sex appeal, because that's part of her character. I mean, she's really tough. You have to get the sense that she can handle anything. And obviously we wanted to appeal to both males and females. And I mean, as a female, I look at her and go, I want that body. And I hope the guys are going to do the same thing.
Scan incomplete.
It's got to be right Sooner. It's like here and then like.
Okay.
In a screenplay, there are little hooks that send you, for instance, hurtling towards the climax. There's always a question that's answered, and in this commercial, there is she has an antagonist. She has some dramatic motivation. There is a question asked, and at the end, hopefully, it's answered.
Enjoy your meal. Access denied.
You're reviving a tagline from the 70s?
Yeah, one of the commercials that a lot of people still play back, they still remember this line, even if they don't remember the commercial itself, was done in the 70s, and it had a guy in the drugstore there at the counter, and he was pouring ketchup on this little old lady's plate next to him, and he came up with the phrase, "There's no other kinds once you've tasted Heinz."
And no other kinds once you've tasted Heinz.
I mean, advertising is a pretty serious business. I mean, companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars on advertising. But just because the business is serious doesn't mean that the advertising that we create should be serious. They turn on the television to be entertained, and we believe that the advertising has to be as entertaining as the programming. That's why we've approached this whole commercial shoot as if we were shooting a very short feature film. Instead of 90 minutes, it's only 30 seconds, but the same amount of care and the same amount of artistry has gone into doing that. It may seem like an enormous effort, but it pays out for the client in the end. It's simply a matter of return on investments.
When you're through with that, if you wouldn't... Excuse me for reaching over.
Just unbelievable. And candy. What's the other
This bottle is empty.
Christopher Bonnet.
Oh,
I didn't know.
that's not Heinz.
It's not like you're...
Heinz isn't the only ketchup in the world, you know. It just tastes like the only ketchup in the world.
For Canadians, obviously, what it means is that they're suddenly going to have services that will reflect Canada to them in ways that they've never seen the country before.
Over there at the Family Channel, you got your free balls for the kids. Drop by there. Hey, look at that. Put a puzzle together, YTV, you get yourself a little pencil holder. And over at the Discovery Channel, they've got a lion gutting a Gemsbach.
Yeah, the ante's been upped a lot, and what's happened now is that this is the first time, this year, we're going to see for the first time really serious competition for cable. Satellites, wireless offers, the telephone companies want to come in and so on. But by the same token, we have now an opportunity to grow way beyond the existing cable base. We have an opportunity to go into local telephone services, and most interestingly, we have an opportunity to be able to go into high-speed access to the internet.
But the channels you really want are just around the corner.
There are 4 new English language services that are Canadian services that are set to launch. There's a history service, there's a news service, a headline news service, there's a cartoon service, and there's a comedy service. And we're looking forward to launching those services this fall.
Cable is actually deceptively high-tech. People don't understand what goes into delivering television into their homes. There's an issue with capacity. A lot of systems simply cannot put new channels on because they don't have room. Others that are a little more robust have room for more channels. They have to figure out what their customers want, make sure that they make those services available to them, and then that they sell them in a way that will make the customers actually want to pick up the phone and say, yes, I'm willing to spend $3 more a month or whatever they're retailing for.
The number one thing that we're trying to do is we're negotiating for carriage on the cable companies. That process is still underway, and that is going on at one level. At the other level is we're introducing our product to the rest of the country.
What was coming 25 years ago because it was real simple, you know. The satellite had been invented. There were only 3 broadcasters in every market. Clearly, cable could bring choice. People wanted, I figured out, you know, more than 3 channels had to be a good idea. You know, and a 24-hour news channel, this was real basic stuff. I mean, you didn't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. But now, isn't it much more complicated?
You know, it's not that much different than it is south of the border. You know, it's we're all facing a lot of competition that didn't exist before. You know, technology keeps moving on, but I'm confident that cable will be able to withstand the competitive challenges.
You have a grandstand seat here to one of the most momentous events in the history of science.
We're part of a group of services that aren't part of the first wave of services that are launching, but certainly will be part of the second wave. So what we're doing here is we're showcasing our existing product that's known and that has been successful to the Canadian cable consumer. And we're also talking about the 6 new services that we have to offer.
Tell me I'm crazy.
Mulder, you're crazy.
I lived in LA for a while, and down there they will tell you you'd better get yourself a handgun to protect yourself for some drive-by shootings. I said, I'm moving back to Canada. We don't have any drive-by shootings there, you know. Closest we have to that is drive-by yellings. Hey, wearing white pants after Labor Day, wah!
We're trying to create a positive impression. We're bringing in a lot of talent here to introduce the talent that we're going to expose on the network. And I guess, you know, we think we're going to be fun, and we want everybody to know about it.
Once you get distribution, then you can launch the channel, and it really depends on your level of distribution in terms of your early success. So you want to get as much distribution as early on in the game as possible. You want to be able to get the critical mass. You want to be able to get the viewers so that your advertisers will take notice.
For Canadians, obviously, what it means is that they're suddenly going to have services that will reflect Canada to them in ways that they've never seen the country before. It's going to expand their sense of being Canadians and allow an opportunity for them to see themselves even more. More competition, more markets opening, more players, more innovation. That's what's so different about this year from any other year.
So I'm very optimistic, and But I would say, as much as I'm optimistic, I would say it once again, put a little bit aside, just in case I'm wrong. Thank you very much.
The Bessies 1997.
It awards the best television commercials in Canada in the field of advertising each year.
Hi, I'm representing a great creative department back in Vancouver. My name's Rob Whittle. I'm from PJ's head office there. And I guess like the person that was not allowed to university, it's nice to be allowed into the Toronto ad scene.
It's time he's done it. I'm gonna kill him. I've told him 1,000 times.
Come on, Bob, get up! Get up! You're acting like a chicken!
Local produce, picked early. Really, really early.
One thing I was happy to see was that there was more of a showing from some of the agencies, like there's some fresh stuff coming out of the West Coast that really pushed the boundary a bit.
Oh man, not now. Don't hurt, man.
I think there's still a lot of great work being done in Toronto, but definitely Vancouver has been more of a creative center than we once would have thought of it like 5 years ago.
I'm not sure why that is, and maybe it's got to do with the fact that I think the ad industry is taking itself a little too seriously at times. And I think there's some lifestyle factors at play perhaps in the West and the West Coast that make us not take ourselves too seriously, and that's why I think it's reflected in maybe the work that's a little bit more avant-garde.
Shiitake mushroom, squash, green acorn, bitter melon, dirt.
What kind?
Clay base, pH 7.3. 7.1. 7.1.
Next.
We're not just picky about our produce, we're picky about our farmers.
People were still aiming to do just as simple as commercial as possible, just make it pure, make it really clever.
The Bronze Bessie.
So what happened to you? Last I heard, you were headed for some body-piercing place? Man, that stuff's too weird for me. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't do anything too stupid. Hey, you're the man, cool guy. See you at the beach.
We heard all kinds of anecdotes, like this lady was in a bar. Was it your sister was in a bar? What was that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was in a bar. They turned the music down to listen to the spot.
She was studying in a pub in Ottawa, and the spots came on, and some kid jumped up and said, "Turn down the music, I love these spots."
Yeah, a little lab here. Looking one, and good.
We got incredible feedback, actually. We got a lot of calls from radio stations wanting to play the Bouncing Boxer songs, Do Your Boys Hang Low.
Yeah, last year we were fortunate enough to win first place for the women's, and then the year after we developed the campaign for the men's, it actually ran in the States, even more so than it ran in Canada.
Do your boys hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you fling them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your boys hang low?
Hey, contain yourself. Double Layer Fly for good, solid support.
I say we have to keep working at it, and I do think there's more pressure on us, more and more, as globalization occurs, and it's easy for Canadian clients to look overseas or look, across the border. I think Canada, the industry here, has to start looking less at what we're doing here in Canada and look more at what's being done globally and the standards that are being set globally.
Right now, what we're actually finding is what this is taking time away from in a lot of cases is television or some of the other more traditional forms of entertainment or media. And I think from that perspective, it's good for people to have a variety of different kinds of experiences.
Mediatelevision is brought to you in part by Bell Advantage.
3 traffic 8 northwest, 2,000 feet, Cherokee, straight in on
One of the things you'll find is I think the web has gotten people connected to information, so it's very easy for me to go out now and find information about a number of things. What we're trying to do with the Palace is actually connect people up with other people. An avatar is your representation of yourself as you go online, since obviously you can't take yourself with you as you go on the internet. It's what you want yourself to look like to other people in the online environment. So it can be a picture of yourself that shows up, or as you see on the screen here, it can be a number of different characters that you would have created and chosen for your representation. We're represented by this little bubble up here called Gary W. And what I'm going to do here then is connect up to something which I have an interest in, which is good music. And we're going to go into the House of Blues Palace. Okay, so there's 6 of us together in the room. The other thing that you'll find is people can set props in the room. So if I click on the guitar, I get a little bit of sound that'll come back. And all this is done by the people that designed the site. So, and again, we can have conversation with everyone in the room. So anything I type now, everybody can see. If I click on one person in particular, like I'll click on Big Dog up here and say, "Hi, Big Dog. What kind of music do you like?" He says, "I like rock and roll." You're in the wrong place. And the blues, okay. A couple hours a day. So that's pretty typical, actually, of the people in this environment. People range from getting online and just going and exploring some of these sites to some people actually spend considerable time, and this is a lot of their social interaction, is being able to go in with a group of friends now that have built up in a community that happens to be on cyberspace as opposed to maybe down on the main street. But it's a way for people to be able to get connected, especially even folks that maybe are geographically dispersed or somewhat separated. Maybe they can't get out as easily. This gives people an easy way to get connected. All right, let's ask him, why not go out and talk to real people? They're not as attractive as Flavio. His voice comment. I'm too fat to meet people, which I happen to know is not true. There will always be people that will say technology is going to be abused and is not making the right things happen in society. But one of the things I think that is healthy about this is it does give people a chance to interact with other people, and not necessarily just people that are located in the same geographic area that you are. You can get online here and talk with another child from Sweden or Brazil or something like that. So it expands people's view of the world, I believe. And right now what we're actually finding is what this is taking time away from in a lot of cases is television or some of the other more traditional forms of entertainment or media. And I think from that perspective, it's good for people to have a variety of different kinds of experiences.